everybody.
Hey everyone.
Today you're in our kitchen.
We don't have a lot of time, so we're making dinner. I'm making a fettuccine alfredo.
It's going to be very fancy.
Also, Anna's sick, so she has her glasses on.
Yeah.
And I'm cooking, so I have my glasses on.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Skype purview. We're gonna have we've had a few questions about it lately, so we're just going to run through those. The first one is someone who wrote in and said, hey, I've noticed that you've mentioned that you've changed up Cloud Sculptor, but as a big fan of the Skype purview, the boon still makes me groan a little bit. I'd be interested in hearing how you guys changed it and what uses you found for it in games.
Their use of the word but in that sentence is confusing.
Oh, you mean... I think they're saying, thank you for changing it to make it better, it still sucks. Which we know.
No, but they said... He said, I heard you're going to change it.
No, he said I heard you did change it.
Did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard you did change it. Okay.
So, and I'm sorry the lighting keeps changing because anytime one of us moves...
Is the problem.
Well, you move sometimes too.
I'm moving to make sure I'm not where you are.
Okay, well I'm going to stand in the middle then. The way we've changed Cloud Serpent is a real easy change. It's just that it's free now.
Cloud Serpent.
Cloud Serpent. Why did I do that?
I don't know.
Too much wow. Cloud Sculptor is free right now. That's the change that we made to it. Because we looked at it, and while it's a very necessary power for a Sky God, it's also very underwhelming. It doesn't actually do very much mechanically. It kind of sucks. Even though you can use it to do really cool effects, but it doesn't actually do anything. So we made it free. You can Cloud Sculpt. You don't really have to pay Legend unless somebody is trying to take your Cloud Sculpting away from you, who also has Cloud Sculpting.
I don't like it.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what to do to fix it. We've talked a lot about how it's kind of odd, actually, that the Sky Purview can't actually cause rain right now until you get to Weather Husbandry, so we've been talking about maybe Cloud Sculpting also can do that by, like, creating thunderheads.
Yeah.
So that may be something that we do with it soon. Because it is a power that needs to be there, but it right now doesn't really do a lot, so it's understandable why people are not happy with it.
I'm going to use the water now, if that's okay.
It's okay with me.
Is it okay, Ann, if I use water? I would probably say, with a redo of Sky, some stuff needs to get broken up and moved around a lot.
Yes.
It would probably move the actual Cloud Sculpting down a lot, so it's not a demigod boon.
That makes sense.
Because it's kind of messy there. Then do a couple with rain. Some rain stuff throughout. Try to mix up the rain stuff. And then do a higher level one, maybe with cloud movement, or like large cloud movement as opposed to small cloud sculpting. So kind of split that in two ones. One that does a small thing that's much low level, and then maybe a demigod one that's high and does something extravagant with cloud moving as opposed to cloud sculpting. I think calling it sculpting makes it sound kind of lame.
And as written in the book, it's all about like doing cloud art, which if you're not Scion, you don't care that much.
Yeah,
so.
and stuff. And then do a couple with the rain that would either be part of the big cloud one, maybe a little rain one and a little cloud one, and then later have one big one that does both and does it kind of in much bigger ways.
To answer the second part of your question, we actually have only ever had two PCs that had cloud sculpting, which were Sangria and Marcus. And I think Sangria has never used it, ever. It just sits there in her boon pile. Marcus did use it a lot because we made it free. He used it for stunting purposes a lot. And his player was very creative about finding ways to do that. Like if he was going to dive out of the sky, attack someone, he would like create a giant cloud face and like dive out of its mouth, that kind of thing. So it's very cool for flavor stuff. It just needs more to it, especially if it's going to be demigod level. We may just need to move it down to make it fit with the rest of the purview better.
Yeah, it's gonna. It can go down to hero when flying moves up to demigod.
Yeah, because flying is way too early. Way too early.
Wind's freedom's getting moved out of there.
So that's some insight into what we're going to do with Sky later. And speaking of what we're going to do with Sky, I have two questions that kind of go together. One person is saying, if you broke Sky down and you split it into Sky and Thunder, two different purviews, what kinds of things would you fill in the holes left on both sides? You know, what can Sky do that Thunder can't, and vice versa? And then along with that, somebody else also asked, have you considered allowing players to choose specialties for their purviews? Like, for example, could Zeus be specialized into Thunder instead of just generalized Sky? And I know that that's a bigger question that involves all the purviews, but because of your example, I included it here to kind of talk about it.
I don't know, dude. If we could figure it out, we'd just do it.
I have thought a lot, like, wanting to split Sky into Sky and Thunder has been something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but we haven't been able to figure out if it's a feasible thing to do for Scion, basically. Because there are gods that are gods
How
of
hungry
one
are you?
and not the other. I'm fairly hungry, but I'm sick, so, you know. Let's go with
You need a
medium.
bowl of pasta?
Yes, I'll eat a bowl of pasta. So there are gods that are just sky gods, and those are going to be like your Quetzalcoatl or your Vayu or your Anu from Mesopotamian gods, who don't really have anything to do with thunder and lightning and rain. But then you have thunder gods like Thor or Zeus that actually don't really have anything to do with like the air and sky and firmament stuff that much. So it is an area where they're kind of smashed together because some of them do overlap and some don't. And so thematically I want to split them up, but we're having trouble seeing if that's a good idea because it's so hard to figure out two entire separate purviews that have enough boons in both sky and thunder.
It's impossible.
We haven't done like a really solid try at it yet, but I can tell you from when we worked on stars to make stars a full purview, when it was coming from like 3 boons, it was not easy. It took a long time. So it's a project we would, or I don't know about we, I don't know if I speak for John. I would love to do it because I think it'd be really cool, but I don't know yet if we can do that, if it's a thing that would work if we tried to do it. So
I don't think it's necessary. I think it has. it does make sense splitting it, but I think it together is also fine. I don't think it hurts anything, and I think it's okay. If people who have sky don't want it to just be air and not use lightning and stuff, that's cool.
part of the reason I don't like it is because of our fate bomb system is buying a bunch of air gods thunder boons and vice versa, which is weird.
But you can have them and not choose not to use them if you don't want to be that person.
Sure, but you're spending a lot of XP, and it's not even... Normally with fate bonds, you would just say, well, go out and don't get fate bound to that thing you don't want. But when you're a sky god of 1/2, you're getting a bunch of XP spent on boons that are not your half.
But so many cultures have a earth, air, sea thing, and to have only air be 2 purviews, where earth and sea are both 1 purview.
Well, but earth and sea don't split up like sky and thunder do. Like, you have sky gods who are like, I am the sky, like the Babylonian father gods.
You talking that way.
Right, sky gods, like the Babylonian father gods. And then you have thunder gods who are a completely different kind of beast. And sometimes they cross over. And you have somebody who's both. Zeus is kind of a good example. He's kind of both of those things. But then you have people like Quetzalcoatl, who is obviously a sky god but has nothing to do with thunder. Because there's a thunder god, Tolek, over there, who obviously has nothing to do with air. So it's a weird case where we're trying to make... I want to make it work thematically, but mechanics may not work with us. It depends. We're going to look at Sky, obviously, to fix a lot of things later, so... Do you want to talk about specializing purviews in general? Not specifically Sky?
Our stove broke. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay. Generalizing, this person also mentioned, letting a player specialize to a particular path in a purview. It's easy to use Sky as an example, because you have thunder and air in there. It's not always easy for every other purview, like, what are you going to specialize in, for illusion example.
The other person want to talk about fertility specifically? Was that this one?
That's a different one. That's coming later this week, I already wrote it. But if you want to, specialize into a kind of part of your purview, that's not really something that I think needs a mechanical basis. Like, if you're like, look, I'm an earth god and I want to be specifically god of diamonds, you can do that while being an earth god. Like, there's no reason you need to have extra powers that are only about diamonds. That's kind of weird. Doesn't really... Like, you would end up splitting the world into, a billion different little purviews and little boons. And they wouldn't really add that much to it other than making it more complicated. So instead, use your earth boons to affect diamonds or to do things with diamonds, and don't use them for other things. That's kind of... there's not really a need for a specialization track that way. Sky is a weird case because, like we talked about, there's some weird thematic split there. But in general, for most of the purviews, I'd say there's not really a lot of specialization you can do. Like, what would you specialize in for illusion? Like, what are your different tracks of illusion? There's not much there. So, it kind of, in most cases, you should be totally creative about what your character specializes in. But that doesn't necessarily need to be something that you mechanically have totally different powers. You can just use your powers creatively and get lots of stunt dice.
Yeah, you don't need rules for everything.
Yeah, so I think that's something that doesn't need to happen, except possibly the case of Sky, but for completely different reasons, if that makes any sense. And I think that's all of the questions that we have today. We actually kind of blitzed right through them. Anything else you want to say about Sky?
Let's see. On Sky Rewrite, we'll probably put it on the poll at some point in the near future as one of the options if people want a Sky Rewrite. Some things, weather husbandry is actually my favorite of the elemental purviews.
It is really cool. It does everything that a Sky God needs to do.
Yeah.
At the top level.
At the top level. But actually, the top stuff for Sky is actually okay. I think I probably need to look at take a glance over for the different roles and stuff and make sure everything still works up there. We don't have a sky god that really uses the sky stuff enough to make that good, to give me enough experience with it.
We really need to work with like trying to balance the elemental purviews against each other.
Because
like right now, sky is so much more awesome than water that it's really unfair to water gods, and that needs to happen. That needs to be fixed. So stuff like that, or got chicken flying through the kitchen, where you have purviews where like water is getting purified water as their god level, which is really cool and important, but it's hard for it to compete with sky throwing ag lightning or fire lighting up an entire area, and so we got to kind of figure out how to make those 4 complementary elements really mesh with each other.
Yeah, and be very different, but be balanced.
Yes, they don't all need to deal damage, but they do all need to be an equal power level.
Yeah. So we got to see where those are, and then but the low level air, wind stuff, I think all that can be fixed to be better.
Yeah, definitely.
Low level sky gods don't have black gold for them.
Yeah, it's true. They cannot fall off of stuff, but past that.
Yeah. Oh, if I fall off a building, I'm okay.
Well, right now they can fly, but that's not okay. So
right.
We're gonna change that.
Get back in hot.
So those are mostly our thoughts about Sky. Feel free to ask more questions about him below. I think next week we're talking about graduating from hero to demigod and from demigod to god.
Sure. So if you have questions about that, send those in.
We have a few already.
We have a couple, and we'll do more. I had some comments. We start class this Thursday, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. Working some more on that. What else? I feel like we got to talk about more stuff.
Do you talk about more stuff? Do you talk about relics at all?
Oh, yeah. Do that.
Hey, what am I talking about relics?
What? Because I'm trying to cook over here, because you don't cook.
I cook when I'm not sick.
So, birthright thing is almost done. We're looking for a good name for it. Anne hasn't come up with anything yet. I just want to call it, like, armory. She said that's inappropriate.
Well, they're not all weapons, or armor. But, yeah, so we hopefully will have that done soon. We've written most of the relics.
Yeah, most of it's done. We're getting
we've statted all the relics. We're writing them now, so.
We're getting, we're putting the top stuff, finish a couple at the top, and then getting your suggestions that we got from the blog earlier.
Yes.
If you don't read the normal blog, we just ask people, for each non-anonymous poster, we'll put one suggestion into the thing.
So yeah, we're still working on those because we just got them. So.
Yeah. And then it looks like Slavs will definitely be up next.
Yes, and hopefully that'll be a nice fast project. I'm excited about it. Really excited. It's gonna.
And then we'll put up another poll and we'll do that thing. But yeah, normal.
Oh, speaking of, our polls are back, by the way, from their second hiatus.
Are they back and workable?
Yes, they're back with all the votes are still there.
Okay.
I think the votes are a little skewed now because people have been trying to vote while they were down, trying to make them be fixed, which is fine. You guys, there's nothing we can do about it. So, but pretty sure Slavs have won anyways. So yeah, they're probably going to be next, and we'll put it back up again. And we'll see what.
How long are we looking at for whatever you're working on next, Pantheon-wise?
Pantheon right now is for those of you who don't know, we're working on the pre-Islamic Arab gods. They're kind of experimental. It's a fun project, but it's a little hard. We're maybe halfway through them. I'm hoping to finish them before the end of the year. I know I said some really optimistic things about how it would be great to finish them and then get the Maya done by December 2012, just for fun. But I don't think that's going to happen. But so for right now, the Arab gods themselves are done. They have a PSP. They have a cosmology. We need to work on the Titans. Is the big thing right now that isn't finished yet, and then we need to work on other characters in the universe. After that point, it should be done. So hopefully in the next couple of months, finished. But don't have a definite ETA yet. But it's out there, being worked on. I promise. And I think that's everything I have. I don't have any more updates.
All right, that's all the stuff. Subscribe, comment. That helps us with other people noticing that this thing exists. Hold on. My pasta sauce is going crazy.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off so we can boil this Alfredo in peace.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.